All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to our 2023 Interscholastic Unified Flag Football pre-competition briefing. This webinar is for coaches to get an idea of what the expectations are going to be at our state tournament this coming Tuesday. The exciting thing is this is our first state tournament for flag football for Interscholastic Unified Sports. So we're also going to be doing a little learning this first time around with us. So we're excited to have you guys, and here's the information that you're going to need to be prepared for next week's state championship. First thing, if you had team captains this year, feel free to grab this QR code and share your captains with us. We are looking to recognize team captains, and the best way for us to do that is by you guys submitting who your team captains were, so on and so forth. So this will also be in the slides that we send out. No need to happen to grab this right now. We can always grab this and get this to you after the webinar as well. Also, congratulations to our 2023 Maryland Banner Recognition Schools. Here's the list for this year. The National Banner Recognition Schools as well for this year. Banner schools are schools that are recognized for their cumulative efforts of Unified Champion Schools, which is the Interscholastic Unified Sports, the whole school engagement, and the youth leadership aspects that all make up Unified Champion Schools. If you have more questions on Unified Champion Schools, talk to Melissa Kelly or Julie Martin, who is the manager of Unified Champion Schools as well. And again, thank you guys for supporting all of our athletes across the state of Maryland. We have a ton of athletes, as you can see, between community sports and our unified sports at all levels. We have a bunch of young athlete program participants. So thank you guys again for everything that you do. This is Meredith Tarkenton. If you haven't met her yet, you've probably seen plenty of emails from her. This is her contact info should you need anything. Again, on the preseason webinar, you guys probably saw this stuff. She makes a good note that her number is a Virginia number, like when I make a note about my New Jersey number. Meredith will be on site and overseeing the fields for 5v5 on Tuesday. So if you haven't met her in person, you will get to meet her in person. But I'm sure you've seen plenty of emails from her. This is me. If you haven't seen me before, if you don't have my contact info, go ahead and grab it. If not, we will also share again the slides so you have access to all this information. Over the next few days, if you get contacted by a New Jersey number, it's very likely that it's going to be me. Just a reminder on medical and support for your student athletes. We will always have medical on site for our events, but make sure that you are up to date and understand and know how to support your school district's medical protocol. Again, you guys will be traveling via bus. You will be, on a quote unquote field trip type of situation. So just be prepared if your school requires you to bring any sort of medicals or any sort of medical equipment. Make sure you know what to do and what to bring with you. Again, we will have medical as soon as you show up on site for our competition. But until then, remember, you guys are in charge and you need to know your school's protocols. The location, if you do not have the location already, here it is again, Middle Branch Fitness Center. It's in Baltimore on Reed Bird Ave. If you are familiar with the Brooklyn area of Baltimore, it's technically in the northern part of that. Really great fitness facility, brand new turf field. This is the first season any sort of football or sports has happened on this field. So you guys are getting on a brand new, beautiful field. Here's the rough schedule for the day. This is pretty much reflective of 99.9% of our Unified Sports state tournament schedules. Most schools arrive between 9 and 10 a.m. We do know that all of our schools for flag football are coming from the west, so you probably got to leave a little bit earlier. Prepare for that, occasional 70 to 695 traffic. But again, we're shooting for schools to get there between 9 and 10 a.m. The closer you get there to 9 a.m., the more warm-up time you're going to get, because 10 a.m., we're going to hit our coaches meeting, cover what we need to cover for the day. And then at 10:15, we're going to run opening ceremonies. And then 10:30, first games are going to start. We want to keep things moving, so please do your best to arrive on time. If for some reason you're running behind, text me, call me on my cell phone, whatever you need to do, just communicate with me as soon as you can so we know you guys are running a little behind or something like that. Additionally, you'll see a note that's a little bit different from what our usual schedule holds. There's a section called Learn to Play. We're going to do a little bit of a demo on a third field of what unified flag football is, because we're going to have a lot of folks from outside organizations, the Ravens, MPSSAA, and other districts that do not do flag football yet, coming to the state tournament to see what flag football is all about. Again, this is our first year for flag football, so people are still interested in learning what it's about. Some people weren't ready to jump in on the first year. Rain date. We ain't going to need this. It's going to be beautiful next week, I promise. But if we do have a rain date, it's going to be Wednesday. Essentially, we will just go into the next day should we need it. But everything looks beautiful on our weather application that we've been using. I think right now it's even gotten up to a high of almost 60 when it was a high of mid 50s at one point. So it's going to be a really beautiful football day. So let's talk about the facility. It's not only your first time here, but it is our first time here, and we've developed a game plan that'll find the most success for your student athletes. The first thing we want to talk about is the competition area. Essentially, the whole turf field is going to be considered the competition area. When it comes to the competition area, the main thing for everybody to remember is only the people that are on the roster, aka credentialed, are allowed on the competition field. So that means your student athletes, your coaches, any one-on-ones that have been credentialed, those people that you have on your roster that I have sent you over the past few days are eligible to be on the field. If you have family and spectators that are coming to watch, we do not want them on the field. We want to keep the field clear. We want to be able to operate to the best of our ability and not have it overcrowded. The next thing that you'll look for on this map, back towards the parking lot on the left-hand side here, is going to be where the awards will be given out at the end of the day, or if you have skills athletes. It's a nice big patio. We're going to have it set up and decorated very nicely. And it also has the additional benefit that at the end of the day, when you get your awards, it's right on the way back to the bus. So essentially, we'll communicate with you guys when it comes to awards of pick up all your stuff, pick up all your trash, and as you're heading out, we'll set you up, we'll do the award ceremony, we'll get you back on the bus when it comes to awards. Next thing to take note of is next to that, there's a pink box. It is the control center. That is our main control center where head coaches will check in the morning. If you need anything that is event specific that isn't football related, that's where it's going to be, including lunch pickup. When lunch happens around 11:30, you can pick up lunch right at the control center as well. Again, if there's anything that happens throughout the day, you need another schedule, you need to file a protest, you're looking for information on when awards is going to start, check in at the control center. We have this big odd shaped purple section here. It covers the grass sections next to the field and the stadium stands that you can sit in. Essentially, all that is the delegation area where you can set your team up. And so you can sit in the stands, you can sit in the grass. If you bring a 10x10 pop-up tent or something, you can put that in the grass. But essentially, that's where we're going to have you set up for the day. With that said, it'll also be shared by any spectators that come. But based on what we saw at the district tournament, we should be totally fine with space there for spectators and teams. Restrooms, it might be covered up a little bit by the closed caption box, but right on the bottom corner of the stadium here, we will have restrooms. They're going to be porta pots. We'll have 4 porta pots, and they will be our main restrooms for the day. If you have an athlete that has an additional need of changing or private feeding or needs some sort of private room or bathroom, we can access indoor at the facility, but we want most of our folks using the outdoor porta pots as the option for the restroom for the day. And then the last thing is this little blue box on the field. If you're a coach and you need something football specific during the day, update on scores, hey, my team's ready for the next round of matches. Just wanted to let you know we're here. That blue box is going to be our football tent. Meredith is going to be based out of that area for most of the day. And I will be floating around in that area. You will likely see Megan Schaefer there as well. You will see Melissa Anger there, and potentially Ryan Kelcher, who's overseeing skills as well. So if you need anything football related specifically, that blue square is going to be where our big tent will be that you can go to. Some additional notes on the, Haley, do you have a question?
I do, yes. And Megan is helping with the refereeing, is that correct?
Correct. Megan is the oversight on the officials. We also have two paid officials from NERSA from Towson University who will be the head officials on
Oh,
each field.
nice. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, very nice. Great. Thank you. Just
Perfect.
wondered.
Yep. So some additional facility notes here. When it comes to being on the turf, the only food or drink is water. Just water on the turf. Again, just like most turf fields, they don't want snacks or any sort of soda or sticky drinks on the field. If you have anything else that you want to consume it in the stands or on the grass areas, just water on the field. Again, portable toilets are the main restroom for the day. If somebody does need a specific indoor restroom need or something like that, reach out to a management team member, SOMD staff member, or whoever we can help you out. They will have typical people from the community using the fitness center throughout the day. We don't want to swarm and overwhelm people in the fitness center. We want to let them be able to do what they need to do and stay out of their way. Additionally, no loitering of any kind inside of the fitness center. We want to keep everybody outside all day. Should somebody have a good reason they need to go in, though, totally okay. We get it. Again, like we said, if you need something on the inside facility, just let us know. Grab a management team member, grab an SMD staff member, and we'll get you taken care of. So here's the field layout. We're going to have our typical 5v5, those two fields right in the middle. And then we're going to have our skills down to the far right side. We strategically wanted to put our skills towards the right side because it's closest to the porta pots. If you have skills athletes, you may want to also strategically put your delegation tent or wherever you're going to set up closer to that side as well. It's a little bit more accessible, easier for them to get on and off the field, do what they need to do. Additionally, we will have a third field set up towards the top side of the field as our learn to play field. Megan Schaefer will be bringing some of her Frederick County athletes and unified partners, and they're going to do a very slowed down version of what the game is to teach some of our folks that don't know what unified football is throughout the day. Again, we really want to show folks from different organizations like the Ravens, MPSSAA, and other districts that are curious about flag football, what we're all about. And while the games that are going to be happening on the 5v5 field will be very exciting, they may be a little too fast for people to catch on to. So we will have a learn to play session at 11:30 for those folks. It'll be run by Melissa Anger as well. So obviously she's very well versed in flag football. Going to take a pause here. Any more questions?
Yes, this is Haley. How many games are we going to be playing? Is it 2 or 3 or 1?
It's 2 games again. I have it set up like we did at the district tournament, where it's 2 divisions of 3-team round robins. I thought about doing a double elimination round robin, but then we'd be there all day. So it's either a standard 2-game day or we're there all day.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
So I'm just going to give you guys some highlights on some parking situation and buses situations so you can communicate to your bus drivers or anybody else that may be attending what the game plan is. Again, apologies for these ugly Google Earth maps. These photos were taken before the facility was completed. So now we're at a point that we have to use these. Ideally, next year, we will have prettier maps that show you better pictures. The map that you're looking at here will start with buses. When it comes to buses, essentially everybody's going to come off of Reed Bird Ave. There's not really any other way to get to the facility. When you do, you turn into the facility where the green dots are and follow them to where the pink line is. And once you get to the pink line, you can unload your team from there. We'll have a management team member where you can get off and unload there. And then you just walk down the path to the field. Once everyone is off the bus will come back around and out of the facility, out of the parking lot. And this whole yellow stretch here, this whole road has parking, wide parking on the outside of the road. So they can street park the buses. That's typically what they do with most of their sport competitions at this venue.
Okay, so we're gonna be parking on the street.
Yeah, bus parking on the street, individual parking. Anyone that comes individually can park where these purple lines are, because those are all typical parking roads. Additionally, if anybody needs
question, we have two vehicles. We have a van and a truck. So our
Sure.
van should be in purple, or should we park it on the street as well?
If it's a standard van, park it in the purple. If you feel like there's not enough room in the purple, go ahead and park on the street, whichever is more comfortable for you with the van.
Okay, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Okay, cool. There is handicap parking in the first row. There's probably a half dozen spots. So if anybody needs handicap parking, let me know. But we'll just use them as typical handicap parking.
We're good, yeah.
Okay, cool. So essentially that's the main game plan. Buses come in, they unload, they go back around, park out on the street with MSD having a van and a truck. You guys can access the typical purple parking areas. If that doesn't feel comfortable, park out on the road a little bit wider out there should you need it.
Yep, either way, I think we should be fine.
Cool. Again, if somebody is really in desperate need of a handicap spot, we can block off some extra spots as well for other teams should they need it. I know occasionally we have a management team member or two that takes advantage of it, but
yeah, we do have one handicaps. I do know that one player's sister, I'm gonna have to check with the sister. So I know that we might need one.
Okay. Yeah, so that works for us. And again, if anybody else has any sort of handicap needs, again, there's about a half dozen spots there, so it shouldn't be an issue, but we may block off one or two extra ones just in case.
No problem. I'll let you know.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the competition stuff. Just the details. Nothing has really changed since what we've done all season long. Just want to recover some stuff, remind folks of what the game plan is. Essentially, once the first game gets going, we will make calls for teams to report for the second round of games 5 minutes prior to the first round of games ending. Same thing for round 3 when round 2 is ending. Essentially, Meredith will have a bullhorn. She'll make a call for round 2 teams to report to the football competition tent. So make sure you report by then. Even if you want to report a little bit early, that's okay. But make sure you report when that call is made so we can keep games rolling throughout the day. Additionally, with the 3-team round robin format, we realized that 2 teams in a division, they're going to play back to back, and there's nothing we can really do about that. The only thing that we can do is if your team plays back to back and you need a little bit of a break, just go up and see Meredith at the football tent and say, hey, you know what? We need an extra 5-10 minutes, and we'll make that happen. We'll start a little bit slower. But again, just communicate with us early so that when you need that situation of 5 or 10 minutes, we can make it happen for you. Credentials, again, we've been working through this week. I've been sending rosters to coaches. Coaches have been checking. I know I heard back from Coach Jen in Allegheny today. I heard back from Elena today. Coach Rob sent me his stuff. I think we're still waiting on some Fort Hill roster verifications. But again, anybody that's on your roster that I've sent you, those are the people that are credentialed for the day. That means those are the people that can be on the competition field. Those are the people that are going to get lunch. Those are all the usual typical things that you can have access to via being a credentialed person. If you are a non-credentialed person, a family member, a spectator, whatever it may be, then you have to be in the stands or in the team area. You just can't be on the turf for the competition area. We will have an event guide that'll be completed tomorrow. With this being our first year for flag football, I am building this bad boy from scratch. So it's taken me a little extra time compared to usual. And so it's almost there. I'm just checking for additional details. But the event guide that you will have, you'll get a digital version tomorrow, and then you'll have a physical copy in your packet. And it'll have everything that you need, from reminders on how the scoring works, and prepping you for team warm up and the game schedule and all that kind of stuff. So you'll get a digital version tomorrow, but then you'll also get physical copies in your team packet. Few notes on unified 5v5 play, just some reminders. Nothing changed since we have started playing. Again, the plan for games is two 20-minute halves with a 5-minute halftime, and the 1 minute or the 1 minute timeout per half. You don't get any carryover, so you get 1 minute timeout per half. The main thing to remember is that when we get to under 1 minute of each half, the clock stops for any sort of dead ball situation, incomplete pass, penalty, so on or so forth. So you do get your one timeout per half, and then we do have the stopped clock in the final minute, all the typical stuff that we've been doing. So if there's a situation that we have tied teams in the standings when the 3 games conclude, we use a tiebreaker based on what you see here to determine who comes in first, second, and third place. We don't do playoff games because then it extends our day, and we don't necessarily have time for that. So the first one's head to head. So whoever has the most wins comes in first, second, third. If we have any sort of tie for wins and losses, we will do points allowed, and we will do points scored, point differential, essentially. Again, we have some limits on there just to make the math within quicker calculating range. Melissa Anger talks about this from time to time too. With these limits, we're not encouraging you necessarily to push the envelope to reach these numbers to ensure that you are coming in a certain place. But with that said, just know that we do factor in a limit. So if there's a big scoring game, there's a cap to it. We're not just going to let people run away with points to determine how our placement ends. This just comes up essentially, especially in a 3-team round robin, because if everybody beats, the other person once, every team ends up with a winning record of 1 win, 1 loss, and we need some sort of tiebreaker. So that's just telling you what the game plan is for that situation. The equipment, same equipment as usual. We're going to use our youth size football. Mouthpiece must be worn at all times. This is for 5v5. If you have skills athletes that like to wear a mouthpiece, that's fine. But for 5v5, everyone has to wear a mouthpiece at all times when they're on the field. Again, the 1-piece 3 flag belt that comes off that you guys all have is the standard flag belt. Other than that, everything else is technically optional. Gloves, cleats we highly recommend, but if they have turf shoes, that's fine as well. But these are the equipment things that are non-negotiable. Uniforms. The uniform stuff has not changed. Everybody that I've seen has the uniforms with their school name on it, has the Unified Sports logo, has the front and back numbers. It has all those things that we've been asking of you guys. Again, knowing that it's a little bit colder, make sure that your teams are wearing some sort of unified under legs or something like that, whether it be pants or sweatpants or joggers or whatever. Just get them as unified as you can. I know everybody has a little bit different cold tolerances. I know football's a little bit different, but again, main thing is just consistency of uniform. Haley, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did actually have a question about that. So can we all use a hoodie, like a sweatshirt underneath of our uniforms with the jersey on top?
Sure, you can go jersey on top. If you can get something that's not hooded, that's great. But if you have hoodies, you got to tuck the hood in. We don't want anybody accidentally grabbing hoods because that's a safety precaution.
Sure, sure. But the reason why I'm asking, I'm just trying to think of ideas, trying to find, making sure we can find sweatshirts that are all the same. But yeah, thank you very much.
Sure, sure, sure. I mean, essentially for us, what it comes down to is as long as whatever goes underneath is like the same color, people can wear various different things underneath to stay warm. Hoodies, we just say you have to tuck the hood in. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much safe and sound, good to go.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you. We'll figure it out.
Cool,
I'll
for
talk.
sure.
The athletic director tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Again, reminder has to go on here because occasionally somebody does show up in blue jeans. Don't be wearing blue jeans, please. Not football appropriate, not any sport appropriate. I do recognize it's I do recognize that some student athletes
Yeah, I agree with
wear.
you on that one.
I knew Haley would agree. I know some student athletes do wear jeans to school. If they do, that's fine. It's a school day. Just bring something to change into. And if you need to change, you can absolutely go inside the facility to do something like that. Um, Again, please wear some sort of cleats or athletic shoes that are turf smart. We don't want people getting hurt while they're on the field. Though turf shoes and cleats are the best way to go. And then additionally, jewelry comes off for the field of play. Additionally, just some reminders too. Flag football is non-contact as much as we can help it. But the biggest thing that our officials will do is protect our athletes and make calls based on safety of our athletes. So again, be prepared. Additionally, be mindful that now that we are going to have 2,000 NERSA certified officials, based on the difference between their skill set and first time officials from the varsity football teams of Allegheny High School, they may call things a little bit differently, a little bit tighter as well. So just be prepared for that. The good news is our student athletes that were officiating in Allegheny are going to come and work underneath the NERSA officials. So they're going to continue to get better at what we've trained them on, working with the NERSA officials. And having self-groomed student athlete officials is going to be a really strong investment for our program in the long run. Again, there's some points of emphasis here. I think Melissa. What's up?
This is Taylor. I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and that really helps
Yes.
with the future plans too.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will say one thing that we have discussed with many organizations that are involved with flag football, from elementary school to high school to colleges. So official shortages is everywhere. That's probably the biggest issue that flag football faces today. And I know Melissa Anger, the community program, myself for IUS, and even organizations like the Ravens are working together to do the best we can to continue to bring in high quality, well trained officials for your student athletes, because it impacts the experience, and we want that best experience for your student athletes. So absolutely. Again, just some reminder notes. The officials, when they make a call, they make a call. They own that field. We give the power and the strength to them to be the officials, to have been trained, know what they're doing. And so when they make a call, they make a call on the field. If you think there's a reoccurring issue with how something is happening officiating wise, please do grab Meredith, grab myself, grab Megan Schaefer, grab Melissa Anger. There's going to be plenty of people that can look into it. But we are always going to support our officials and the calls that they make on the field. But we're absolutely open to review of conversations of talking about how we improve our officiating. Unsportsmanlike conduct, officials will take players or coaches off the field of play in overly rough or unsportsmanlike play. Again, you can't strip the ball or pull the ball from a ball carrier at any time. If it's during the play, if it's after the play, whatever it may be, that could be unsportsmanlike conduct. And if the officials think it is severe enough, they do not need to warn you. They will just take you right off the field. Again, we want a good competitive experience for our student athletes, but we also want sportsmanship, and we want them to play in the spirit of the game. A reminder as well with ball carriers, something that we see a lot, they have to make an effort to avoid defenders that have established position. So if somebody's going to pull their flags, they can't just run them over. They need to make an effort to run around them. Can also be construed as some sort of overly rough play or unsportsmanlike conduct. And then again, we're just looking to take as much contact out of the play as we can. We realize that it is football, contact occasionally happens, but we want to make sure we're protecting our athletes on the offensive and defensive side. Again, just a reminder of coaches' code of conduct too, respect for all, make sure we're having a good experience for everyone, act professionally, be quality service to your athletes and promote, sportsmanship, starting through you down to them. And we want the health and safety for all of our student athletes protected. If you have any questions, if anything comes up as far as it goes with code of conduct for coaches, ask me, reach out, we can connect. If you have questions day of, same thing, ask me, we'll take care of things. Let's talk skills play, because unified skills team play is something very unique to what we do for IUS. This is the first time we're doing it. So there's a few things that I want to remind you guys of. I thought the unified skills play at the District 1 tournament went very well. But again, just some reminders. There's 5 skill stations. We are doing pass for distance, target pass, flag pulling, 40-yard dash, and the catching station, which was added for 2023. For this tournament, there is one division of 3 skills teams. There is a Fort Hill team, a Mountain Ridge team, and a Maryland School for the Deaf team. Athletes will go through one round of skills stations, and that'll be the whole competition. Traditionally, in our individual skills for community, they do 2 rounds, but it's a very different situation because they all participate individually as compared to a team and working together as a team to score the most points that they can. With that said, when the skills competition finishes, we will directly award the skills teams and athletes as soon as that's done. We won't wait till the end of the day to do that. We will do that. Haley, do you got a question there?
Yes, question for you. So for us, we have 2 individuals and they will become a team. So
Yep.
are they going to then always? Sorry, let me just clarify. So if the individual teams, if they both receive medals together, do they receive them individually or as a team, or?
They receive them as a team. So unlike individual skills like you're used to from community program, Haley, that pair, wherever they place with their combined score, they'll earn a medal as a pair.
Okay. So let's say if we have 2 players and they're both athletes, they're going to then be receiving award together. One.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So yeah, we were a little bit confused about that if they were getting individuals or not, but that's clear now. Thank you.
Yep. And again, just a reminder how the scoring works because it's a little different from our individual skills and community program. Again, individual skills sounds like what it typically is. They're individual, but for us, they're partnered and they're team based, so it's a little bit different. So essentially, your pairs are made up of an athlete and partner, and then they go through the stations. They each get a score, and their scores get combined to make a score for the pair. Then you may have 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pairs, 4 pairs. Those pairs scores get combined to make your team score. Whoever has the highest score in the division as a team gets first, and then second and third, and so on and so forth. With that said, we have divisions that have different numbers of pairs for each team. So as an example, this year, I believe I actually have it on the next slide. Yes. So this year, we have 1 division because we only have 3 teams. With that said, Fort Hill has 3 pairs, Mountain Ridge has 2 pairs, and Maryland School for the Deaf has 1 pair. So because they have separate sets of pairs, we need to add a scoring modifier to make it even about the points that they can score. And so essentially, you just do the math of how many times does 2 go into 3? It's 1.5. So that's the modifier. So whatever Mountain Ridge scores as a team will be times 1.5 to even it out compared to the 3 pairs of Fort Hill. So again, it puts an equitable opportunity for everybody, regardless of number of pairs, on the same playing field to even out the scores. Since it's regional bowling weekend for a community program, it's a lot like a handicap in bowling. You can have somebody bowl against somebody that has a 200 average as opposed to somebody with a 30 average. With the handicap, it evens it out. They could technically bowl against each other. So again, we use the same system to work out track and field and strength and conditioning for our unified sports programs as well, because track and field can have a roster anywhere from 10 is the minimum, all the way up to almost unlimited. Suitland High School has brought like 60 kids pre-pandemic. So it's one of those things where we've worked this modifier before. It's a good system. We think it's the best way to go for skills, especially in this first year. Just a note on the learn to play demo session, for the most part, it's not going to mean a whole lot to our teams that are actually playing. You guys are going to be focused on playing for your competitions, playing for skills. But again, just wanted to let you know what the deal is here as it's going on, so you're not confused what's happening on field 3. Essentially, this is going to be a learning session for those that are either outside of our organization interested in flag football, or other districts that are interested in potentially joining unified flag football through their high schools in future years. It's going to happen at 11:30 on the extra field, which will be field 3. And our Frederick County Community Program is going to be bringing athletes and unified partners to work with Melissa Anger, who is our community sports director for flag football. And they're just going to slow the game down a little bit, show people how it works, from soup to nuts with flag football. Essentially, she's going to go over it and she's going to teach people how to play. Additionally, if you have some sort of accommodations that you need for athletes, even if it's not competition based, like I mentioned before, sometimes athletes need private changing rooms, or they have a paraprofessional that rolls around with them, that kind of stuff. Just let us know. Reach out to me sooner rather than later, because then we can put those things into play. Instead of waiting till the last minute, and then it's harder to make happen. Haley, do you have
Yeah, just wanted to chime in on that. So I do have several teachers aid paraprofessionals with us. They're mostly going to be in the spectator section, but we do have 2 individuals who are going to have an aid with them. So should I email you those individuals' names?
Yeah, we need to check if they've done our training stuff. If they've done our training stuff, they're good to go. If not, we just need them to do that this weekend and we'll be set, Haley.
Okay. So I'll email you. Just let me know. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
follow up.
perfect.
And I'll talk to Elena about that as well. Thank you.
Awesome, perfect. Again, just a reminder, if you have a protest that you would like to file, please file it within 15 minutes of completion of that game at the control center. Please file that at the control center off the field, not the football control center, because that's where they will have the forms for this stuff. We have a rules committee who will oversee the protest if they're filed, to approve or deny them. And again, when it comes to protests, we want you to protect your athletes. Again, a protestable situation isn't something like, I didn't like this call that an official made. That's not a protestable situation. A protestable situation would be the officials never used the poly spots to mark where the rush line, we were guessing the whole time. That's a protestable situation. You can protest rule situations and or things that we didn't have happen during a game that are supposed to happen. Again, we have protests in line to protect you, your teams, and your athletes. If you have more questions about protests as well, you can always reach out and ask. Again, another thing that we are making sure that teams are aware of, if you have personnel, anyone on your team that shows up that's not in a correct uniform, and by not correct uniform, I mean they're showing up in blue jeans with nothing to change into. They show up and they don't have their jersey like they're supposed to. They show up and they don't have their mouthpiece like they're supposed to. If somebody doesn't have the proper uniform, they're not going to be allowed to play. Again, everybody that I saw uniform wise at the district tournament was perfectly fine. Everything was great. But again, if they don't show up with a proper pants to wear, if they show up in Crocs to play flag football, if they don't have their mouthpiece, they won't be able to play. Here's the first team division. This is Division 1. They will be on 5v5 Field 1. It's going to be the 2 Allegheny teams in Fort Hill. That is the schedule for the day. We will run games on the hour. Again, 20-minute halves, 5-minute halftime, a little bit of a break before the next team gets on the field, about an hour window for the game situations there. Again, something may happen where we need extra time for them to play overtime, so on and so forth, but about a window, an hour window. Second division is Maryland School for the Deaf and both of the Mountain Ridge teams. We looked at the divisions from our district tournament and figured this would probably be the best grouping. We actually had a really great game between Maryland School for the Deaf and Mountain Ridge. I think it was team 2. It was like a Big Ten, just like shootout game. It was awesome. It was a really, really good match. So that's the second team division. Few more miscellaneous things, and we're going to get out of here for the night. Again, I'm not going to keep you for the whole time if we don't need it, but we want to make sure we get through everything to set you up with the tools that you need for Tuesday. When it comes to awards, again, for the 5v5 awards, they will conclude after all 3 games have finished. We need to get the results from each game to figure out what it is. When it comes to going to opening ceremonies, please arrive and be ready to wear your uniforms for awards. We want people to be in their uniforms when we take pictures and stuff. It looks nice. It looks good. Especially parents, they want good pictures. So that's what it comes to at the end of the day. And if you have questions about awards, let me know. But again, we'll finish skills, award the skills athletes, finish the 5v5 matches, and then we will award the 5v5 matches. Day of volunteers. If you have extra students at your school that are interested and would like to come out to help, they can always reach out to Sam Boyd, our volunteer director. She will get them set up. I know certain schools do bring out some of their service clubs and stuff like that. But if you have any interest in that, please do reach out to Sam Boyd. And then that was my cell phone number. Once again, if you don't have it, please take it down. If you're running behind in the morning, if you hit that good old 7695 traffic, I totally get it. Just send me a text or a phone call or something and let us know you're running behind, because then we can contact you earlier. Additionally, you'll get all these slides in an email from me. All my emails have my cell phone number. The slides will have it and all that stuff too. So you don't have to worry about taking it down right at this moment either. With that said, I'm going to pause. Last set of questions.
This is Haley. I do have some questions. Hold on one moment.
Yeah.
So we don't have any unified sports. We don't have the logo on our uniform. We actually ordered new uniforms for next year's, and I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for communicating that. I actually will bring you guys some iron-on patches that you could even put on your shirts. It doesn't have to be for states on Tuesday. That's okay. But I can give you those as an opportunity if you want to use those uniforms in the future as well, even as like practice uniforms.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we actually ordered them for next year, and we just realized that we needed them for this year. So, but anyway, yeah, just want to let you know. Okay, and I think that you've covered everything in regards to questions. Oh, what time do the individual skills? Is that 10:30?
Yeah, that'll start right at 10:30. Good question. I should have said that earlier. All of our football events will start right at the beginning of the day.
What'd you say?
Everything will start at the beginning of the day at the same time. Especially for skills athletes, a lot of times they don't want to sit there and wait either. So starting at 10:30 is probably best case for skills.
Sure. Perfect. Love it. Yeah, I think that you've covered everything, though. I really appreciate it. It's really helped us to clarify some things. So good job. Honestly, I know this is your first year, so I really appreciate it.
I used to officiate nurse of football when I was in college, so I haven't done flag football since college. So a lot of thanks and especially big shout outs to Melissa Anger, who's our community sports director for flag football, and to Megan Schaefer. Both of them have been huge in helping flag football happen this year.
Megan has been a big help. I do know that for sure. So yeah, I ask her a ton of questions, and so I'm actually happy that she's in charge of the referees. So yeah, she's been a great help.
Absolutely. So if There's no more questions. Meredith, is there anything that you want to add to kind of close it out here? I know this is your first go around with flag football as well.
No, yeah, I think you covered it all.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for everything that you've done. It's been a great season at this point, and it's going to be really exciting to see you guys on Tuesday at the state tournament. If you have any questions between now and then, please grab me on my cell phone. I will be out of the state this week for a quick trip to New York. So grabbing me on my phone is going to be the quickest way to get me for sure. I will be back on Sunday and Monday, and we'll be ready to rock and roll on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is Haley. I'm actually, when I receive the slides and I see your text message, I'm actually just going to text you so you have my number.
Perfect. Sounds good. All right. Have a great night, everybody, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Thank you so much. Good night. Have a good weekend. See you Tuesday.
Bye.